From pits of fire to unexpected hurricanes, here are 10 of the most dangerous places on Earth. Number 10. Miami, USA. Few things in nature leave more devastation in its wake than a hurricane. And few places on Earth are quite as prone to these horrifying acts of natural destruction as Miami, Florida. Anyone who lives in Florida knows just how devastating hurricane season can be. Nobody knows when the next windstorm will level the city or fill it with floodwaters. According to the US Geological Survey, it is estimated that the southern tip of Florida will suffer over 60 hurricanes in every 100-year period. In 2008 alone, Miami was ranked as the most dangerous city in terms of natural disasters in all of the United States. But this is not new information. Hurricanes destroy parts of Florida all the time. For example, in 1926, the Great Miami Hurricane destroyed almost every building in downtown Miami and killed over 350 people. Then there was the Labor Day Hurricane of 1935, which killed over 400 people. The horrible truth is that hurricanes will never stop plaguing Miami. Its geographic position makes it one of the most dangerous places on Earth. And the worst part is that no one knows when the next hurricane is going to come or how much damage it will bring. Have you ever been in the path of a hurricane? What happened? Did you lose electricity? Did your house flood? Let me know in the comments below. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. You won't want to miss all the awesome videos coming out every week with important information you didn't know you wanted to know. Number 9. Java and Sumatra, Indonesia. The islands of Java and Sumatra in Indonesia face persistent natural disasters. This is another one of the most unfortunate places to live in the entire world. Indonesia as a whole is incredibly dangerous for all kinds of natural reasons. There isn't just one type of force that threatens this beautiful country. Indonesia, and specifically Java and Sumatra, are constantly under threat from floods, droughts, landslides, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis. In 2004, tragically, a tsunami hit Indonesia and killed nearly 250,000 people. This was after a 9.1 magnitude earthquake triggered the massive wave. But disaster doesn't need to come in huge incidents. There are smaller disasters that happen all the time and inflict just as much pain and suffering. Even before that infamous 2004 tsunami, droughts had killed almost 10,000 Indonesians. Volcanoes killed nearly 20,000 and earthquakes killed over 20,000. You have probably heard of the volcano Krakatoa, which is located in Indonesia. This volcano is one of the most dangerous and it seems to erupt frequently enough to be a menace to society around it. A famous past eruption in 1883 was so massive that it destroyed the islands and created global effects that changed weather patterns worldwide. Even as recently as a few years ago, floods drove thousands of citizens in West Java from their homes, while a landslide completely decimated the village of Tenjolia. If you do visit Java or Sumatra, be careful. A little planning and caution goes a long way. Number 8. Istanbul, Turkey. Istanbul was once called Constantinople, and for centuries it was known as a cultural and commercial centre of the world. This ancient city holds many world wonders, including one of the oldest marketplaces in the world. And if you didn't know the exact location of Istanbul, it is a metropolis sitting right on the border between Europe and Asia. It is also, incidentally, located on the North Anatolian Fault. Though it may not be immediately alarming for most people, this particular fault is definitely going to rupture sometime in the future. And the earthquake that results from such a rupture would be horrifying for the estimated 13 million people living in Istanbul. In an article from Bloomberg, a geologist puts the chance of it happening in the next 30 years between 35 and 40%. That's pretty scary. But it wouldn't be the first natural disaster to devastate the area. The last big earthquake happened in 1999. A 7.6 magnitude earthquake absolutely decimated the city of Izmit, killing around 17,000 people. However, other estimates put that number more likely around 45,000. Researchers currently believe that the fault beneath Istanbul could result in several smaller earthquakes or one massive earthquake without warning. All anybody knows is that Istanbul is a ticking time bomb waiting for a natural disaster. Number 7. Guatemala. South of Mexico is the Central American country of Guatemala. While there are certainly dangers associated with criminal activity in this region of the world, the entire country is actually much more at risk from a natural disaster. This is mainly due to Guatemala's strange topography. This is one of the only countries in the world that is made up entirely of hills, mountains, and general uneven landscape. The country has extremely mountainous terrain, which causes landslides and mudslides that devastate rural areas. It also makes rescue efforts extremely difficult when earthquakes and hurricanes strike. Back in 1976, a massive earthquake killed 23,000 Guatemalans, and because of the country's dangerous topography, search and rescue efforts were seriously hampered. And even if Guatemala is not a direct target of a hurricane, the rainfall is enough to cause mudslides that can kill hundreds of people indiscriminately. The entire country is full of small rural villages where mudslides are particularly dangerous. Back in 2005, when Hurricane Stan struck southern Mexico and Central America, there were over 900 mudslides in Guatemala, some of which buried entire villages under the mud. It's truly sad, because many of the people who live in the affected areas have little money and few resources, and basically no way to recover their lives once a natural disaster hits. Number 6. The Sahel region, Africa. Drought is something people don't really think much about as being a natural disaster. Hurricanes and volcanoes are much more visceral and much more dramatic to watch as they unfold. However, drought actually kills far more people every year than hurricanes or volcanoes. According to the United Nations Environmental Programme, between 1972 and 1984, over 100,000 people died because of drought in the Sahel region of Africa. In that same time, 750,000 people became unable to grow crops and were therefore thrown harshly into foodless poverty where they were completely dependent on aid. This region of Africa stretches across the northern part of the continent, including such countries as Sudan, Nigeria, Algeria, Ethiopia, Mali, and more. Unfortunately, this natural uncertainty and danger has become even more high risk in recent years due to global warming, and this instability also affects political violence in the region. What a mess. Anyone living in this region is bound to suffer because of drought, famine, or limited water. According to the United Nations, an estimated 80% of the farmland in this region has already been degraded because of climate change. Temperatures are rising in this part of Africa 1.5 times quicker than the rest of the world. Suffice to say, there are over 50 million people in this region who find themselves at risk of running out of food and water due to the harshness of the climate. This is not a place you want to live. Number 5. Naples, Italy. Italy is a seriously beautiful country. It has fine wine, great food, and mild temperatures. But in Naples, the threat of doom looms high over the city at all times. There is no need to go back over what happened to the neighbouring towns of Herculaneum and Pompeii back in 79 AD. Many have already learned about the destruction that Mount Vesuvius rained down upon the region. But what we're here to talk about today is why this is still one of the most dangerous places on Earth. Just because the volcano hasn't erupted dangerously in hundreds of years doesn't mean it can't happen again. In fact, the volcano could erupt at any time. It last erupted in 1944, causing damage to a number of buildings and killing almost 30 people. New research suggests the next time Mount Vesuvius erupts, it could be devastating. There is tons of boiling hot magma waiting underneath the mountain that would be spread across the region in the event of an eruption. If Mount Vesuvius were to experience an event like it did back in ancient times, you could expect to see flying rocks and ash at high speeds, choking and blinding dust, and ash that makes it impossible to breathe. If it erupted, it could mean serious devastation for the 3 million people in the danger zone. As for Naples itself, the city could be completely devastated by the fallout. While beautiful and serene as it is, I don't think I would be setting up shop in Naples under the shadow of the mountain. Would you? Let me know in the comments section below. Number 4. Norilsk, Russia. The town is deep in Siberia and it's been called the worst place on earth to live. The name? Norilsk, Russia. The city is a double threat. It's incredibly hazardous because of the cold climate, which can reach freezing temperatures of up to -40 degrees, causing hypothermia and other horrible problems. Any city this cold is going to be dangerous to live, especially if you get caught outside for a little longer than expected. But the big threat of this place is more than natural. Norilsk is one of the most polluted cities on the planet, and it is located far in the Siberian lands of Russia. Who would have thought such a tiny frozen town could be so toxic? Because this town was a key component of Soviet industry back during the time of communism, it saw a lot of mining with few regulations, and since then, it has been a nightmare for the environment. Huge concentrations of copper and other elements in the atmosphere causes the sky over Norilsk to be constantly grey and gloomy, while toxic rain occasionally falls on the unfortunate residents. The water and air are both poison, and the rate of cancer among residents of this city is sky high. Though the disaster that is Norilsk is not natural in origin, this is still a miserable place to live. Number 3. Chemchem Group, Africa. The Chemchem Group in Africa was once the most dangerous place on Earth. It's nothing but a dusty desert now, but millions of years ago this small region of what is now Western Africa, particularly near eastern Morocco, was a battleground of terrifying magnitude. This was the most dangerous place to be alive on Earth in the far prehistoric past. Fossil evidence from this area dating back to around the late Cretaceous period suggests that this small area was home to dinosaurs, reptiles, and other terrifying creatures. It was actually the most violent and dangerous place to have ever existed. Not because of natural disaster, but because of nature itself. Almost no animals could survive here for very long without being eaten by another carnivore. The study, documented on Science Alert, claims there were almost no herbivores in the area, and that the only animals that lived there were flesh eaters, and that they lived there in abundance. The area was like Jurassic Park, only it was real. It was full of life and death battles between predators and prey, and it was the place where a human time traveller wouldn't make it more than a few minutes before becoming a snack for a carnivorous beast. Number 2. Minchun County, China. In Minchun County, China, the desert is encroaching on human civilization. There has been a drought going on in this region for over a decade, and because of this serious lack of water, the county of Minchun is now being turned into an infertile wasteland. This process is known as desertification, and it's actually costing China around $3 billion each year to try and avoid. This is one of the driest places in the entire country of China, and until recently, the county of Minchun had been the borderland between civilization and the brutal Tengger and Badain-Juran deserts. However, the deserts are now expected to engulf the county sometime in the next decade, which will make the entire region completely unlivable. Think of this place as being slowly swept over by sand. Crops are unable to grow, lakes and rivers are being dried, and horrible sandy winds are gradually burying the entire region in dust. In 2004 alone, they had to manually redirect water from the mighty Yellow River to fill the smaller Hongtashan River here because it went completely dry. If they hadn't done, the loss of life would have been enormous. Worse still, groundwater resources are still drying up to this day. This is what it looks like when nature decides to take over civilization. There is literally no stopping it. Number 1. Maldives. The Maldives has been a favourite luxury destination for years. Many Western tourists flock to the Maldives every year for beautiful beaches, pristine blue waters, and a calming sense of tranquility. However, this is actually one of the most dangerous places in the world. The entire country is sinking, and it's sinking fast. According to a report by leading climatologists, the entire nation will be underwater and gone in approximately 80 years or less because of global warming. It's no longer a question of if the Maldives is threatened or not, but a matter of when exactly the last drop of water will swallow these islands into the sea. Although this doesn't appear threatening from the outside, and you probably won't find yourself drowning on your next vacation, it is extremely dangerous for all the people who live in the Maldives. It's going to happen, it's going to destroy their homes, and there is nothing they can do about it. They will simply have to evacuate when the time comes, and the Maldives is not actually the only nation currently under threat of flooding. Venice in Italy is one major city that could be underwater very soon, while many people predict that in the next 100 years, every major coastal city will see serious damage and destruction because of flooding. This is much more dangerous than living in the shadow of a volcano, and we need to prepare to withstand these major disasters as soon as possible. It's a worldwide emergency. Would you brave travelling to any of these dangerous locations? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you next time for another amazing video.